One time, Willie, and it was Christmas time too, and I was a young fella in Kiltigan. Our dog Shep went missing for some days, as dogs in winter will. I was maybe 10 or 11, and I loved that Shep, and feared he was gone forever. We had got him as a young dog that had been beaten somewhere and broken till he reached our haven and uncoiled and learned to bark like a baby learns to laugh, and he shone at his work. One morning early, after a fall of snow, I went out to break the ice on the rain barrel to plash my face, and I saw his tracks in the snow going up the sloping field, high to the fringes of the wood, and I was greatly afeared, because there were drops of blood now and then as he went, little smears of it on the cleanly snow. So I followed him up, sinking here and there in the drifts, well used to it, and onto a piece of ground we called the upper garden, because it was flat there. You could see across the Baltic-glass. Some said even Shillelagh, in the dark woods of Culloden. I found our dog there with the carcass of a ewe, well eaten, only the hindquarters remaining. I saw my father's blue sign on the wool and knew the worst. For a dog that would kill a sheep would die himself. So in innocence I went down to my father and told him, and he instructed me, as was right and proper, to go back up with a rope and lead Shep down so that killing could take place. The loss of a ewe was a disaster. There'd be pounds of money gone into her. But I loved the dog so sorely. I hesitated when I tied the rope about him, now moving along but slowly, the poor dog sort of dragging behind as if he knew well his misdeed and his fate. I stopped in the middle of the trees, and do you know, my young legs would not go forward. They would not proceed, try as I might. And there I stood all that afternoon and night. Love of the dog kept me standing there, as only a child could stand, without moving, without thinking, the poor dog whimpering with the cold. About 5 in the morning I went down, because I could see black figures with lights moving and calling for me and the dog to come home. Down at last into the yard we came, the dog skulking on the rope just the same as the day he had arrived to us. My father came out from the house in his big clothes, all brown with clothes and hair. It was as if I had never seen him before, never looked at him his entirety from head to toe. And I knew then that the dog and me were for slaughter. Feet carried me to where he stood, immortal, you would say, in the door. And he put his right hand on the back of my head and pulled me to him so that my cheek rested against the buckle of his belt. And he raised his own face to the brightening sky and praised someone in a crushed voice, God maybe, for my safety. And he stroked my hair. And the dog's crime was never spoken of, but that he lived till he died. And I would call that the mercy of fathers, when the love that lies in them deeply, like the glittering face of a well, is betrayed by an emergency, and the child sees at last that he is loved and needed, and not to be lived without. And greatly